Some voices are never heard until the fight for justice makes them impossible to ignore. Today we honor a story that demands to be told. Samantha Coleman had always been the embodiment of light. At 28, she radiated warmth and kindness in everything she did. As an elementary school teacher, she had touched the lives of countless children, shaping them not only academically but emotionally. Her students loved her for the patience and care she poured into them, and her colleagues admired her dedication. Samantha's smile could light up the darkest room, and her laugh was contagious. She seemed to have everything: loving parents, a solid career, and a beautiful home shared with her devoted husband, Tom. Don't forget to like and subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Your support means a lot. Their marriage was the kind that people envied. They were the perfect couple, inseparable, supportive, and kind to everyone around them. To the world, they were the epitome of happiness. Tom, a quiet and steady man, worked as a financial consultant, a job that allowed Samantha to pursue her passion for teaching while living comfortably in the suburbs of a picturesque town. The house was modest but well kept, with a neatly trimmed garden and a warm, welcoming atmosphere. The neighborhood was peaceful, almost eerily so, and everyone knew each other. Samantha was truly living the dream. Yet, as perfect as everything seemed, there was a hidden side to Samantha's life, a side she had long kept buried, even from herself. Beneath the smile and the calm, there was a growing sense of dissatisfaction, a quiet, gnawing emptiness she couldn't shake. It wasn't that she didn't love Tom. She did. But the connection that once bound them seemed to have weakened over time, replaced by the dull routine of daily life. And for the first time in years, Samantha began to wonder if something, or someone, was missing. The catalyst for everything came in the form of a name from her past: Adam Jacobs. Adam was someone Samantha had known in college. He had been a friend, a companion during late-night study sessions, and someone who had always made her laugh. After graduation, they lost touch as they both moved on with their lives. She'd heard of Adam occasionally through mutual friends, but nothing significant. That is, until he reached out to her one evening with a simple message: "Let's catch up sometime. It's been way too long." At first, Samantha hesitated. She had been happily married for years, and meeting with an old friend, especially a man, felt like something she shouldn't entertain. But something in her couldn't resist. Maybe it was the allure of nostalgia, or perhaps it was the realization that life had become too routine. Adam was familiar, and for a brief moment, she allowed herself to remember the girl she had been before marriage, before the responsibilities of life weighed her down. She agreed to meet him the following weekend. Their first meeting was innocent enough. They met at a local cafe, one they used to frequent when they were in college. Adam looked just as she remembered: charming, charismatic, and with that signature mischievous grin. He was a little older now, but he had aged like fine wine, his deep blue eyes sparkling with the same intensity that had once captivated her. Samantha felt a strange flutter in her stomach, but she pushed it away. This was just catching up between old friends, nothing more. The conversation flowed easily, as it always had. They talked about their lives, their experiences, and their dreams. Adam seemed genuinely interested in everything Samantha said, more so than Tom ever had in recent years. He asked her questions about her marriage, her career, and her happiness, things that Samantha hadn't really considered in a long time. For the first time in a long while, she felt seen. Truly seen. Adam's words were carefully chosen, his compliments lingering in the air like sweet perfume. Samantha found herself laughing more than she had in months, forgetting the weight of her daily life. Adam made her feel alive again, something she hadn't realized she had been missing. But as they parted ways that afternoon, there was a sense of unease that settled in the pit of her stomach. She wasn't sure if it was the rekindled connection with Adam or the reminder of the emotions she had been burying for so long. Either way, she felt torn. Over the next few weeks, Samantha and Adam met several more times. What started as casual get-togethers soon became something deeper. Their conversations shifted from friendly banter to more personal exchanges. Adam asked her about her childhood, her fears, and her desires, things that no one else had ever asked. The connection between them deepened, and every time Samantha saw him, she felt an undeniable pull, one that she couldn't explain. But there was something unsettling about it. Adam's attentiveness was flattering at first, but it soon felt suffocating. He began texting her at all hours of the day, checking in on her, asking about her mood, her thoughts, and her well-being. He seemed to want to know everything about her, everything that Tom didn't seem to care about anymore. As Samantha started pulling away, sensing that things were getting too intense, Adam's behavior became more insistent. He'd show up at her door unannounced, sending her long, emotional messages, professing how much he cared for her. The guilt weighed heavily on Samantha. She loved Tom, she truly did, but Adam made her feel like someone she hadn't been in years, desired, wanted, cherished. It was a feeling she couldn't ignore no matter how hard she tried. And before she realized it, she was walking a fine line between the life she had with Tom and the life she was beginning to build with Adam. One evening, Samantha found herself staring at her phone, the familiar text message from Adam flashing on the screen. "I can't stop thinking about you. I need to see you again." Her heart raced and the words seemed to linger in her mind. It was in that moment, standing in the quiet of her home, that Samantha made a decision. She would meet Adam one last time just to clear things up, to say goodbye. They met at a small, secluded park. It was late and the air was cool, the moon casting long shadows over the empty benches and paths. Samantha sat on a bench, waiting, her heart pounding in her chest. When Adam arrived, he walked toward her with a sense of urgency, his eyes wide and searching. Without a word, he sat beside her, his gaze never leaving hers. "You know what I want," Adam said softly, his voice low and intense. Samantha could feel the weight of his words pressing on her chest. She wanted to say no, to tell him that she couldn't do this anymore, that she needed to go back to her life with Tom. But before she could speak, Adam leaned in, his lips brushing against hers. For a brief moment, Samantha froze, torn between the man she had loved for years and the man who had made her feel alive again. Then something inside her snapped. She pulled away from him, her heart heavy with regret. "Adam, I can't do this anymore," she said, her voice shaking. "I'm married. I love my husband." Adam's expression changed in an instant. His eyes, once warm and filled with affection, now hardened with something darker, something dangerous. "You can't just leave me, Samantha. I won't let you." Samantha stood up, her hands trembling. "I have to go." But as she turned to leave, Adam grabbed her wrist, pulling her back toward him. "No, you don't. Not this time." In that moment, everything changed. The calm, rational Samantha was gone. A sense of fear and panic took over, and she screamed for help. But Adam's grip tightened, his face contorted with rage. His hands were on her, pulling her toward him with an intensity that she couldn't escape. Samantha's last words, her desperate cry for help, still echo in the air. "Please, I just want to go home." Her voice was cut off as Adam silenced her. The following morning, when Tom returned home from a business trip, he was met with silence. Samantha was gone. Her phone, her coat, her keys, everything was left behind as if she had vanished into thin air. The investigation that followed revealed the disturbing truth. Adam's obsession with Samantha had gone too far. His jealousy, his manipulation, and his inability to accept rejection had led to a tragic outcome. Adam's confession came slowly, like pulling teeth. But it wasn't until the investigators found the last message Samantha had sent, a chilling plea to meet him one last time, that the pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place. Don't forget to like and subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Your support means a lot. Samantha Coleman was gone, her life cut short by the man she had once considered a friend. But the story didn't end there. The investigation was just beginning, and the truth was far darker than anyone had anticipated. Adam Jacobs was arrested and charged with Samantha's murder, and as the case made its way to court, the truth of what happened that fateful night would be laid bare. For Tom, the pain of losing his wife, the love of his life, would never fade. And for the small town that had once been so peaceful, it would never be the same again. As the days turned into weeks, the small town where Samantha Coleman had lived began to shift, settling into an eerie quiet. News of her disappearance had rocked the community to its core, and now the truth of what had happened to her began to emerge piece by piece. Detective Reggie Holt had been the lead investigator from the beginning. A seasoned officer with a sharp mind and a methodical approach to his work, he had seen his fair share of difficult cases. But something about Samantha's case felt different. The more he dug into her life, the more he uncovered hidden layers of betrayal, desperation, and emotional turmoil. Samantha wasn't just a victim of an unprovoked attack. She had been caught in a web of manipulation, jealousy, and unspoken desires. The investigation into Adam Jacobs, the man who had once been Samantha's old college friend, grew more complex as Reggie uncovered more about the dynamics between him, Samantha, and her husband, Tom. Adam's obsession with Samantha had turned toxic, but it wasn't just a passing infatuation. It was a dangerous fixation that had been brewing for months, perhaps even years. The texts, the late-night phone calls, the secret meetings, everything had led to that fateful night in the park, where Adam's overwhelming emotions pushed him to commit the unimaginable. The evidence against Adam was compelling. The forensic team had found traces of Samantha's blood in the park where she was last seen, and her phone records revealed a string of cryptic messages exchanged between her and Adam in the days leading up to her disappearance. The last message Samantha had sent to Adam, pleading with him to meet her one final time, sent chills down Reggie's spine. It was a plea for closure, but it was also a plea for mercy, one that would never be answered. As Adam was arrested and taken into custody, the community was left in shock. To most, Adam had seemed like an upstanding man, someone from Samantha's past, a friend who had come back into her life with good intentions. But now the facade was gone. The man they had once known was revealed to be someone entirely different. A man consumed by jealousy, rejection, and an inability to let go. For Tom, the pain of losing his wife was incomprehensible. Samantha had been the love of his life. They had built a future together, and now that future was gone. In the weeks after her disappearance, Tom had been a shadow of himself, searching for answers, holding on to the hope that Samantha would somehow come back to him. But as the truth came to light, the brutal reality set in. His wife was never coming back, and the man responsible for her death was someone she had trusted. In the weeks following Adam's arrest, the community rallied around Tom, offering their support, but the grief was too much for him to bear. He would spend sleepless nights going over the memories of his time with Samantha, trying to piece together where things had gone wrong. He couldn't understand how the woman he had shared his life with could be taken from him so violently, so suddenly. And he certainly couldn't understand how someone he had once called a friend could be capable of such a heinous act. The trial began several months later, and the courtroom was packed with people who had once known Samantha. Her family, her colleagues, her students, all of them were there to see justice served, to make sense of the senseless violence that had taken their loved one from them. Adam stood in the defendant's chair, his face blank, his posture stiff. He looked nothing like the man Samantha had once known. There was no trace of the charming, charismatic friend she had once confided in, only a cold, emotionless figure who now faced the consequences of his actions. The trial was a drawn-out, emotional affair. The prosecution presented its case, detailing the disturbing relationship between Adam and Samantha. They laid out the evidence in front of the jury: the obsessive text messages, the visits to Samantha's home uninvited, the repeated attempts to insert himself into her life. The evidence pointed to one conclusion: Adam had become fixated on Samantha, and when she rejected him, he couldn't handle it. His emotions, simmering under the surface, had finally erupted in violence. The defense tried to argue that Adam had acted out of love, that he had been overwhelmed by his feelings for Samantha and had never intended for things to escalate to murder. But no one in the courtroom bought it. The truth was clear to everyone. Adam had killed Samantha in a fit of rage, unable to cope with the rejection. The emotional toll of the trial was evident on Tom's face as he sat in the front row. His hands shook as he clutched the papers in his lap, unable to focus on the words being spoken around him. His grief was all-consuming. He couldn't bear to look at Adam, the man who had taken away the woman he loved. And yet, as the trial progressed, he found himself longing for the truth, for answers that might bring him some semblance of peace. But there would be no peace for Tom, not after everything he had learned. The moment of reckoning came when the prosecution played a recording of Samantha's last moments. It was taken from a voicemail she had left on Tom's phone just hours before she met Adam in the park. Her voice, filled with anxiety and fear, sent a shiver through everyone in the courtroom. "I'm scared, Tom. I don't know what to do anymore. I need you, but I don't know how to fix this. I love you, but I just don't know." The room fell silent as Samantha's final words echoed in the chamber. It was a heartbreaking moment, and it struck at the very core of what had happened. Samantha had been trapped, torn between two worlds, one with her loving husband and the other with a man who had preyed on her vulnerability. Adam's eyes remained cold as the tape played, his expression never changing. But in that moment, it was clear to everyone that he had no remorse for what he had done. His actions had been driven by jealousy, obsession, and a distorted sense of love. And now he would pay for it. The jury deliberated for only a few hours before returning a verdict: guilty of second-degree murder. Adam Jacobs was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison. The judge's voice was steady as he delivered the sentence. But for those in the courtroom, the weight of the verdict was almost too much to bear. Samantha Coleman, a woman full of life, love, and promise, was gone forever. And all they had now were memories, and the haunting truth that her death had been preventable, had it not been for the actions of a man who had once been her friend. Tom stood in the back of the courtroom, his hands still shaking. As the sentence was read, he felt a cold wave of finality wash over him. This was it. The man who had destroyed his life was now being punished, but it would never bring Samantha back. He would never get the chance to apologize for the things left unsaid, for the distance that had crept into their marriage. The haunting question lingered in his mind: had he missed the signs? Had he failed to see what had been happening right under his nose? And though justice had been served, the damage was irreversible. Samantha was gone, and nothing could change that. As the courtroom emptied and the sound of footsteps echoed in the hallways, Tom left the building and stepped into the cool night air. The city seemed just as it always had, but for him, everything had changed. The future he had imagined with Samantha, the quiet life they had built together, was now nothing more than a distant dream. And as he walked away from the courthouse, he was left to carry the weight of that loss for the rest of his life. The echoes of Samantha's last words would never leave him. They would haunt him forever, a reminder of what he had lost and what could never be undone. This story moved you? Help keep their memory alive. Subscribe for more stories where truth refuses to stay buried, and justice always finds a way. Like and comment below with your thoughts on the case. Your support means a lot. Turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. Thanks for watching.